There we are. Welcome to our interview tonight. Glad you could join us. And I have got the beautiful Carolyn with us today. So say hi, Carolyn.
Hi everyone.
Yes, it's great to have you, and I thank you for allowing us to interview you for the youth for the youth to get to know you, and to yeah to kind of find out what the real Carolyn is like. Yeah,
Yeah,
not what we heard all last week from Matt. We want the real kind of stuff now, and so this is what we're looking forward to. I think lots of people who are going to be joining us are wanting to get the goss on what it really is to be, kind of live with Matt. So what is it like living with Matt?
it's interesting. It's never bored.
Interesting. Okay.
It's never
Yeah.
bored from that in the house, so yeah, it's good.
Okay. Good. Good. All right. So, okay. So, tell us how you met him then. What
Um,
is the real story? Because you were telling me just on that there was a real story behind this, not Matt's sanitized version.
yeah, so Matt wasn't wrong in what he said. He just missed out a few bits. So,
Okay. All right.
so we did meet on Facebook. He
Right.
did add me, and the thing is, he added me thinking I was this girl that he was flirting with at a church barbecue.
Right.
And I accepted him thinking that, you know what churches are like if you chat to people, but you never actually learn any names. So I was just like, yeah, I probably met them.
Yeah.
It's through the young adults congregation. I was like, yeah, I probably met him. That's fine.
Right.
Accepted it. And then he shared a post about, I think it was something about mental health or something. And I just dropped him a message saying, oh, that was really brave. And then we've been chatting every day for nearly 7, maybe 8 years since that. Yeah.
Wow. So
So,
so just through that one post, you kind of got talking, and then got
yeah.
married, and there we are, and have a baby, and lots of cats. Why cats? Because
Yeah, we have one cat. Um,
only one.
only one.
Why you have a little, so that was the kitten on Matt
Yes,
for
that
pitch.
puppy was a kitten, and then the picture of me is about a year and a half ago. So when he was an adult cat.
Ah, right.
So yeah, we were looking. We thought about getting pets. Matt's a dog man.
Hmm.
I'm allergic to dogs, so that wasn't really going to work.
No.
And then I started looking around, and I turned around to Matt, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want a cat." And I went, "Well, I either want a cat or a baby." So we got a cat. Um, we were looking around, and we went. He's a rescue cat,
Right.
so he was an ex-feral cat when we got him.
Okay.
He wasn't meant to come to inexperienced cat owners. He was meant to go to somebody that had hundreds of years worth of cat experience, and somehow they decided that he should come to us.
All right.
So
There you are.
he was 10 weeks old. So,
Mm, okay. So
sweet.
hence why you cat. Okay. All right. So obviously church is a big part of your life, and
Yeah.
so tell me your journey in church, so your experience of your faith, all those kind of things, because obviously you met Matt through church, even though it was through he thought you were someone else, and on Facebook, but it still
Yeah.
was that connection of young adult groups. So tell us your journey of faith, please.
So I was brought up going to church by my mum. We went to the Church of England church in Cheddar, and I was part of the Sunday school. Kind of went up through that, and then I ended up going to the Baptist youth group and then the community church youth group, because Cheddar, for a small village, it has 6 different churches,
Oh wow.
um,
Yeah, that's
and
a lot.
they all seem to have different things for different ages. So it happened to be that the Baptist had something for like 11 to 15ish year olds, and then the community church took it over until we were, that bit older.
Yeah.
So I went there. Well, through that, I also ended up volunteering at a Bible camp in Austria for 3 summers.
All right.
So did a lot of in-depth Bible study over there. So that was like each summer there was a 3-week camp that taught them English. So we were working in English, because if they fail their exams, then they get held back a year.
Oh, right.
But we were doing it through the context of Bible study, which was quite good. So it ended up out there, came back, did A-levels, everything else, kind of life just gets on when you're 16, 17, and got on. I was looking at universities, didn't know what I wanted to do, knew I found religious studies interesting. So kind of went, maybe I'll do that then.
So you kind of fell into it then, in that sense, yeah.
Fell into going to Chichester, which was a really nice city. For somebody in a village, it's a city that's a nice size. It's not suddenly you're lost in this massive place. It's actually probably slightly smaller than Weston.
Oh, right.
In terms of the town centre. So yeah, ended up there. And even though I'd been brought up kind of going to church and everything, it never quite stuck. Like, I knew the Bible stuff and I knew the praying and stuff, but somehow it never all fell into place quite how you'd expect, if that makes sense. And then I think it was in my second year, I just had one of those days and I was like, I don't know what to do next. I'm struggling. I had 100 essays to do. One of my housemates was just driving me up the wall, as they do in uni flats. There's always one person that refuses to wash up, refuses to do anything. And that was driving me up the wall. And I suddenly had this thing of, maybe I should open my Bible then. And wasn't something I did really that often unless somebody told me to. So I opened it and it fell open to Isaiah 43:2.
Right.
Which is the when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And suddenly it all just kind of, you know, when you have that penny drop moment, and it all fell into place. And I was like, oh, wow, maybe that actually matters to me as well as, you know, everyone else. So I was like, okay, I'll look at what churches are around, because this was on a Saturday evening, at which point one of my friends from uni sent me a message going, oh, by the way, I'm trying out this church at the end of the road tomorrow. Do you fancy joining?
Wow.
And so I was there.
Wow. So did you think your faith was kind of, because you grew up in it and all that, it's actually kind of finding your feet? You only really found your feet when you were away from that kind of influence then?
Yeah, I think sometimes if you grow up with it, it's just kind of accepted as part of life. But I think with faith, it is such a personal journey as well as a family journey. That I think, like most people brought up, even if they can't pinpoint it, there'll be a point where it suddenly became, oh, actually, this is something that actually really means something to my life, rather than it just being, oh, well, I go to church, I read my Bible every day. It's not a tick box exercise. It's not about who knows most Bible verses. It's about who actually takes that on board. So
yeah, because it's easy to know a whole bunch of stuff and able to do those quizzes or whatever, though. But if it's not here, it all in here. But if it's not here, then, and that's what you kind of discovered when you were at uni. Then
so I was a year and a half into a theology degree before it suddenly became a heart faith as well as a head faith.
Right.
So I could write an essay on what the Bible said about, I can't remember what, but it still didn't quite click until I had that personal moment that went, oh, here it is. And then it suddenly made a difference.
Okay. And how much of a difference did that kind of make for you then, that?
It's hard to say. Like, I've always struggled with, when you go to testimony evenings and it's always people go from, my life was awful, I found Jesus, my life is amazing. I didn't have that massive transformational thing. But at the same time, it kind of opened up a lot of possibilities, I think, and a lot of ways of managing things as well. So I've had anxiety on and off for quite a few years.
Right.
But me having that faith to not fall back on, but having that faith to kind of lean on has definitely made a difference, rather than just going, just struggling and trying to find your own ways of managing.
Okay. So with anxiety, so that your mental health, what was, can I ask, what was causing this anxiety because I know a lot of young people which I work with, have this anxiety and about their identity and all those kind of things. So what was your kind of...
There's no like one thing that's every time I've had anxiety, it's been this trigger, it's been that. So when I was growing up, my mum was quite ill when I was at school. So I had that kind of always in the background, as well as, you've got these GCSEs to do, you better do really well, kind of thing. And then at uni, it was kind of trying to find an identity, I think, was a big one. And things like that. It's trying to, a lot of it for me especially comes around identity, and is trying to be firm in my identity. So like after I had Samuel, I struggled with anxiety because I'd gone from having a fairly new job, because I started a few months before, and knowing exactly what I was doing when I was at work, to I've got a tiny human and I have no clue, as with any parent. So I think for me, a lot of it is anxiety. Like when my mum was ill, growing up in a village, everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
And so people would ask me how my mum was. They wouldn't ask, how are you doing? How's school? It was, how's your mum? So my identity then was buried. And I think for me anyway, a lot of it comes around identity issues.
Okay. So being, say you've been studying theology and all those kind of different things, and you've looked at a career that way, and being a woman and being that kind of your identity, and losing your identity, or trying to find that identity, how has that affected you with ministry, with all those kind of different things?
It's quite a tricky one. So in terms of like calling to ministry and stuff, I'm slightly strange in that I always knew that whatever my calling was wouldn't take off until I was married, which sounds incredibly archaic. It's just always been, I've always known that I would be married before I would properly take off, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
And I think Matt's always known the same. He's always known that the two of us somehow would end up in ministry, but we'd be married when we did it. It wouldn't be, she does this and I do this, and then eventually we'll get married and we'll still do, she does the kids, and which is, for me it's always been, I've been doing children's ministry, and he's been doing the techie stuff at the back, which now we don't do either, actually.
Well, you're having a little bit of a kind of break. Well, having Samuel as well, it's going to, kind of not, it's going to develop in a different way, I suppose.
Yeah. I started exploring a calling to ministry. It started when I was in Chichester. I did a year as a ministry trainee in what was my uni church, then brought on like a student placement year type thing.
Okay.
When I was there, I tried a few different aspects of ministry. I chatted to the bishop just on one of his flying visits to the church rather than as in going to see him officially.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think it could be a good thing to explore, but Chichester Diocese doesn't like ladies much.
Oh, right.
Which is accurate. They're not that keen on ladies much.
Okay.
So I kind of parked it for a bit, moved back, and then I think it must have been, how long have we been at Oaken Castle? A year and a half.
Yeah, about 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, about 2.5 years ago, when we were at St Paul's, I spoke to Andrew about it. Said I feel like this is something that now is the time that I need to explore it. So I went down to speak to, they have vocations chaplains in the Church of England.
Right, okay.
Met with him a few times, and he said, I think you should be doing something ministry, not parish ministry probably, but that I should look at the pioneering ministry. So most of the way through that, and then at the last meeting we had, he said, if after a few months of praying and reading and looking, you decide that pioneering ministry is where you're going, I'll send it off to the diocese, off you trot, and then you can do the selection process.
Yeah.
If you say, no, that's not for me, then we'll re-examine it. And then that's kind of as far as we got. because then I got pregnant and then morning sickness, everything else. And it was actually, I needed to focus on me, my new job, everything else instead.
Okay, so did you ever think about pioneering ministry? What is pioneering in your kind of view of pioneering?
In my limited understanding, it's more about finding new ways of expressing church to the community. It's not just we're a building, you come to us. It's we are a church, we go to you. So it's a lot more about that and making it a community thing, that church is something that helps people rather than, well, like they kind of are being forced to in the current situation, finding new ways of expressing it. But yeah, that.
Yes. Okay. So, do you think you're going to pursue that then? That kind of way of looking, has it kind of now Samuel's born and you're getting into a new routine. Obviously, the current situation is a little bit different at the moment.
Yeah.
But so where do you think? Any thoughts that way?
I'm not sure yet. I think I need to kind of look at it a bit more in depth. As you can imagine, my priorities have been small baby.
Yes.
For the last few months. So it's something that I want to look at once I've kind of got the opportunity to sit and read things properly again, rather than kind of putting it down for bed and then you've got half an hour before you know you've got to go back.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that's still on the cards. It's just something that's been kind of put on hold for now.
Just put on hold, yeah. So you've come to Locking. You've kind of been with Locking for about a couple of years now, and so what have you seen in Locking which has really kind of changed or shaped you differently? Do you feel?
In terms of shaping, it was the thing that made us stay at Locking, because we decided that we were going to look at a few churches. Locking was the first one that we looked at.
Okay.
Is the thing that made us stay was that we walked in and we were welcomed as soon as we arrived. And I think Emily then showed us where to get the tea and coffee, even though she didn't know who we were. Found us seats, and it's that being made welcome as soon as you come somewhere. And then I've taken that away, like I go to mum and baby groups, things like that. And then if there's somebody new there, it's like I make that effort to make sure they know, what they're doing, where they can get a drink, what the kind of thing is. And kind of being welcoming to everyone, because I think people don't, it's like one of those cheesy quotes, so people don't remember what they said, they remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, most definitely.
So it's like, actually, if everyone feels welcome and safe, then it's something that they'll want to go back to. And I think that's a big thing for churches, is that they might come, you might sow seeds, they might not stay, but then 3-4 years down the line they go, oh, that place actually made me feel really welcome, and I'm a bit worried, a bit rocky. And then they can come around and it's like, oh, this is where I felt safe before. And then that's when it actually takes root.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, great. How are you finding this in this crisis at this moment? What are your challenges, do you feel, with COVID-19 and being in lockdown and all that kind of stuff?
Part of it is I struggle with not having a lot of my coping mechanisms. So things like, if you have a sleepless night with a small baby, you kind of go, oh, I need to do something, I need to get out. You meet a friend for coffee, can't. Yeah. Or you invite your mum over so your mum can take them for a walk and you can go to sleep.
Yeah.
Can't have mum over.
No, true. Okay.
Yeah. And I have kind of turned a corner this week, though. I think for the first few weeks of lockdown, I almost tried to overcompensate for all the group time I was missing.
Okay.
So I felt like I had to give him all these activities, all of this, have everything. Actually, if he's on the playmat and he's happy for half an hour, he's on the playmat and he's happy.
Yes, that's it.
So, yeah, and it's a lot easier, I think.
Have you managed to find a new normal kind of thing? Because with I myself found it quite difficult to get into a different routine, because the routine was kind of up in the air with learning new stuff, how to stream, all those kind of things. So have you found a new routine in amongst this?
More or less, I think. One of the perks of having a small child is that they thrive on routine. So actually, you have to have breakfast at a certain time, you have to have lunch at a certain time, bedtime generally around the same time, and it seems to be they wake up at 6 o'clock regardless anyway. So you've kind of got that built in as a routine to start with anyway, and then you can just build it into that as and when you need to.
So how's your faith going in this time? With the routine, whether that's reading your Bible, praying, all those kind of things. Because obviously Matt's with you all the time as well.
Yeah. Well, Matt's also still working, so he's not with us all the time.
Oh right. Okay.
He does work at the end of the garden, which is still from home, but it's separate.
You just put him in the corner in the garden. He's there just sitting in the garden somewhere.
So we've got like a proper built outhouse.
Right.
It's converted.
Nice.
Because this was his office, so.
Yes, and so it's can't be his office now. So yeah.
So yeah, I think I've managed to build it in. Well, same building faith. I think my faith is all consuming, but at the same time I've built in like Bible study and things. Tends to be at Samuel's bedtime.
Okay.
So I get him off to sleep, but he'll still want to be cuddled for kind of 20 minutes or so before you put him down, because otherwise it's like that, switch, and then you put them down and just like, hello, I'm awake again.
Yeah.
It's like, so I'll sit there cuddling him for kind of an extra 20 minutes, and then that's when I'll go on like the Bible app on my phone. And that's when I have my own personal time, which I found really helpful. And it also means I'm not just sat there going through Facebook waiting for him to actually fall asleep.
So doing something constructive in that time where you had to be there. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So for the young people, so you've worked with young people, you've worked with kids mostly, or student ministry as well, all those kind of different things?
All of the above. I did working with small children, or like the under 10s.
Right.
I've done quite a lot with like younger children. When I was out in Austria, that was older children. So, well, I say children, they were like 14 to probably about 21, actually, I think some of them were.
No, right. That's quite a big age range, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of like the ones that were over 18 were more like young leaders and things as well. I was only about 16 when I was out there as well. So.
Right. So you were teaching 21-year-olds, or that's so it doesn't matter what kind of age to who you are interacting with. So if there is anything you could leave with a young person to encourage them in their faith, what would that be?
I think the thing I've found most helpful is knowing my identity as my faith before anything else, and knowing that actually for God you're enough, God's got you, and then everything else from there, it kind of, you can use that as your basis, and then everything else can spread around from that.
So you're saying really kind of your identity in Jesus is the foundation of all who you can be and who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, and that's what's helped you when you were at uni, when you discovered your faith. That's really what helped you then.
Yeah, because it's the one thing that whatever happens, that's the one thing that's been constant. It's almost like the thread that goes through everything, and then you get different things that come off. It's like work, it's one thing, this is another thing. But actually, if you've got that faith that goes constantly, even though everyone's faith kind of wobbles, but it's still the one thread that goes through everything you do.
Great, thank you. Well, I really appreciate your time and giving us this time. Thank you for watching, guys, those ones who have been watching, and I hope this has really helped you and to get to know Carolyn some more, and also with her faith. And now you can ask her questions when you see her in church. Kind of yeah, ask her those kind of questions about how she has found her identity and things like that. So really appreciate your time. Thank you, Carolyn, and be really blessed and stay safe and take care. Just gonna tell everyone next week. We're gonna say goodbye to Carolyn. So thank
Bye.
you. All right, and I'm just gonna go on to the next bit and tell them what's happening on Thursday because it's our movie. Do you like High School Musical, by the way?
Can't say I've watched them in a long time.
Well, there. If you want to kind of join us with our High School Musical quiz, we're going to be having. So it's our film of the week. It's High School Musical. There we are. And it's going to be a great time. So get your thinking caps on. Really watch it hard because I know Chris is really quite a quiz master. He will have some serious questioning. So we go back to Carolyn and say goodbye again. Bye
Bye.
bye, and see you all next time. Bless you.